Ergamon, and the sublime world of existence. A quest to understand the gift of life. In the beginning, and in the middle, and at the end, there is humanity. We become, we learn, we wander and discover, or discover and wander, and from that peak we exist, either happily or not, and then our time is over, and we rapidly or slowly sink back to the Mother Earth that gave us birth. Such is our journey, and it is always new despite its predictability. But to know is somehow to diminish, and understanding is no substitute for the excitement of discovery. Chapter 1: Pre-Birth, from the sowing of the winning seed. And Ergamon awoke and looked around. He saw nothing. It was too soon, and again he saw the arms asleep. When the sun rose further, he woke again in a brighter light. He was part of the earth and could not turn his head. Was he alone? Why could he not rise? Was he bound down or just weak? To start, by looking around. He was not alone. Next to him was a form. It was nature. It was more. It was beauty. This was a reason to live. But how? Ergamon reached out to his fingers. They clutched at nothing, and yet reason told him form must be there. He sensed its reality of being. It was hard and had edges. There were the bonds that held him. They were soft and dissolved as he pulled at them. He was free. The awakening. Ergamon awoke. The earth was damp and the sounds around him called to him to arise and embrace the new dawn. Just as on this first day, and on every day of his short or eternal life, he felt the call of the world as well as the sound of it. His arms reached out and he touched the damp grass that fringed his form. His fingertips called him in 100 different ways. Awake, Ergamon, and look around you. The world is now yours again to enjoy, but you must arise or it will pass. On new legs, Ergamon stood. His eyes opened, forcing up the soil-covered lids, and the brightness of the dawn embraced him and said, "Greetings, Ergamon, to a new day. What would you like to do with your moments of time?" "I would like to see and understand, for all is new. I have never seen or heard. The pulse of life that has nurtured me is suddenly gone. The water I breathed and the roots that fed me have become detached, and I see them sinking back into the organic essence, leaving me alone. I have never known a need for being, and yet now a million sights and voices call to me saying, We are here for you, if that is your wish. I see trees and flowers that stand where they were born. I see creatures that walk, crawl and run, and others that fly from tree to tree and from cloud to cloud. What is my destiny? Early natures of being and existence. First questions. That is for you to decide. Our nature is not to seek nor to know. We seek to be in such time and place as we are. We are free from the chains of unfulfillable needs and motivations. But for man, happiness and oblivion are as one, and ultimate bliss is often found in total ignorance. Then is my search for knowledge and understanding leading me away from who I am and what I can be? I cannot escape the hungers that I feel now, for I know not what within me. Ergamon, we can only speak to you so you can hear us for one of the three parts of your existence, and that is your spirit. The journey of time for your body is driven by forces over which you have little control. From child to old age, all will continually change, and it is for you to decide how to live with that. The journey of your mind can be short or eternal. Most men are content to live within close encircling boundaries of understanding. Some, as altered by tradition, many are not content until they have built their own walls around them, or even shackled themselves with iron chains of obedience to the twisted and false belief of others. You have been reborn differently, Ergamon. You are without limits of mind, body, or spirit. Then will these hungers within me never be satisfied? Ergamon, since you have been given the gift of mortal life, it is for you to decide when and whether to stay crawl, walk tall, and run, or to fly. The power to move and change yourself has been given to you, but it will slide back into the earth if you do not use it. It is for you to decide, and already we see from your questions that you will choose, and maybe very soon. Then I shall walk now towards the rising sun. I shall move from this one still place, even though it hugs me with familiarity. The vibrancy of the colours in that distant glade beckon me, and maybe that is where I belong. And Ergamon walked to where the grass looked greener and saw some new things, but many that were the same. As the sun travelled across the sky, so did Ergamon walk from place to place. With each new day, he meandered as languidly as a stream, but no place brought contentment. He saw less and less that was different, and more that was the same. Eventually, Ergamon decided not to wander from place to place and where he stood, but to explore instead within his own mind. Ergamon is restless and unfulfilled, despite his long and lone exploring. Why do you linger here, Ergamon? Are you not curious to climb the next hill and perhaps see the windful waves rushing onto the shore? The shore I see now is wondrous, as was the shore yesterday and the day before. Are you weary, Ergamon? No, my life force is full. Every sense is caressed by the joys of natural wonder. To travel more would not fill the space within me, so I shall sit and wait for understanding to come to me. We wish to help you, Ergamon. Do you have a question? Before all these places, questions came easily to me, but now I am content, and yet I feel an emptiness. And so, what is your question, Ergamon? You have helped me see many things, and understand the creatures I have encountered, the web of spiders, the language of birds, and the friendship of dogs. Can you help me understand the emptiness I feel now? How can you show me more of what is already not there? You have been created a mortal man, Ergamon, with the gift to think of the past and the future as well as the present. You have also been given imagination, so are becoming aware of what is not there around you, and your emptiness is a yearning to find it. But my emptiness is not to wade in the crystal waters of another river, nor to smell the entrancing perfumes of a different flower. The scent of herbs and the lapping of the waves around me here could not be more perfect. We can answer your question, Ergamon, but what you seek cannot be understood in physical forms or seen as the sun brings warmth each day and then sets, nor as does the moon grow and gradually hide in the passing night of the month, nor as the passing years reshape the trees of the forest and the bends in the river. We can guide you to what you yearn for, but the price is loss of innocence and simple happiness. Then tell me the answer, as I have no way to value innocence. As for happiness, I have no measure of it, be it simple or otherwise. So speak now. I am ready. You are lonely, Ergamon. There is a part of you that seeks mortal companionship. We can send you a guide, but first you must choose. There is a short path to friendship with fellow men, and there is a longer, more difficult path. Tell me of that. I want to know all that there is. An easy path is only best if the destination is the same and can be achieved earlier. Ergamon, we seek to please you, but heed again, the second path is that of love. No man travels it without both pain and pleasure in equal measure. It is a path with no forgetting. Each step is a memory, and each memory a shaping. If you choose the path of love, you must also be your own guide. Will it fill my emptiness and yearning? These thoughts are for those who have not yet known love. For after the caress of love, everything before is as of nothing. Only sweet memory lives on, and pain and regret are its shadow. Then tell me that way, where must I go to find my guide to love? Follow the path by the sound of the rippling stream. Soon you will find a glittering glade, and in that place, by a crystal pool, you will see her. She has been told of you. The path of love and meeting Erato. Ergamon strode on with eager tread, and just as foretold, he found the place. There, beneath the branches of a spreading tree, he perceived a creature with perfect form and golden hair. The animals of nature, who danced close by around her, scattered and hid as he approached. The spirit of the glade beckoned to him. "May I rest here with you?" asked Ergamon. And the dryad said, "I have no need for rest, and have been granted just half a century in your time. But we can share those moments if it is your greatest desire." "And is this your home?" asked Ergamon. "All places can be home for me, and in each life I create beauty. I can be here for you, Ergamon, if it pleases you. Your way can be my way, and you will know togetherness. Come, sit with me, see what is around us as I do. I can tell you of the hidden nature of light, of shape and form, and all the things that bring me pleasure." And Ergamon sat and listened, and in the dimming light the creature, who was also called a woman, said, "Come, lie next to me as the sun sets and feel my warmth. We can be one now, Ergamon. Our bodies can intertwine, and you will know a new pleasure that once known is always sought." And Ergamon lay beside and inside the woman and disappeared into the delight of the night. The first day of joining, Erato starts to give guidance. As the sun rose on a new day, he heard a sweeter and softer voice. "Awake, Ergamon! The golden globe from the east is chasing away the shadows, and such pleasure as you desire is ours for the living. Then we shall rest here. All my days I have risen and travelled and sought new things, yet with you lying beside me, I wish this moment and this peace to last forever. If time can be stopped, let it be here and now, with you, and in this place." And the woman gave a knowing smile and said, "Time is like a wheel. It turns, and the place where it touches the ground comes in a cycle, and the ground it touches has itself moved on for all material beings, be they animals, birds, or men. For some, the wheel turns fast, like the wings of a hummingbird. For other living things, the pace is slower, like the leech on the leaf. You are of human form, Ergamon. Your movement through time and the changes it brings takes you on a journey you cannot avoid. Then let us capture this moment in a memory and carry its tenderness in our hearts forever. I can shape an image of this moment for you, but it is for you to add to it your feelings in your heart. For now, enjoy what is here. Can you see the many colours on the spider's web as the dawn breaks?" Once more, the woman smiled without speaking, and stroking his hand from wrist to fingertips, she said, "You may call me Jill, Ergamon, and it can be my name for this time. When you call, I will hear. When I call you, it will please me if we can be together. But know, there will be other times when solitude and nature are my chosen companions." So they meandered gently within the glade, and Jill spoke of all the hidden beauties that Ergamon had earlier strode through and upon without seeing. Discontent with the glade and the desire to explore. As the days passed and the glade with all its beauty became familiar, Ergamon felt a different hunger. The natural creatures were all content. The trees rested on their roots and the flowers were pleased to be seen only by them. All this was not enough, and Ergamon again felt incomplete and said to Jill, "You are my guide. Are there other things I can learn of in places with different sights, or is all the world the same? My sisters have spoken to me of many lands. They are above, below and beyond. There is an ocean of water one cannot drink, yet creatures live within it. There is a beach between land and that ocean. It is told that this is where man first crawled from, and why they search constantly for another joining where the land ends and new kinds of living exist. Is that why you cannot find a home that is enough for you, Ergamon? Ergamon's yearning for discovery was strong within him and drove him forward. Then we shall find this beach together. It will be an adventure, and even if the ways are new to both of us, it will be exciting. Since you choose to leave this place, I shall capture for you some things that we see together. So in time, should you desire it, you will be able to retrace our steps and journey with more knowing eyes. The trees sighed as they departed. The flowers opened and shone with brilliant colours in the hope of delay. Even as the sun rose, Ergamon's restlessness blinded him, and like a hunter, he followed the wind and the dust it carried. Ergamon followed the ever-growing and quickening streams and rivers until he saw a distant horizon where the sun darkened and yet glowed redder as it set. As he and Arato approached, he saw a different land where the materials of glade and forest were not present, but instead the ground was packed hard by the feet of countless creatures that swarmed and ran around in aimless ways. He felt fear for the first time and whispered to Erato, "What is this place? And that herd of creatures that look like us, but yet seem to scurry alone and together, without purpose, and are bounded by unseen barriers to their direction. They are also of mortal mankind, like you, Ergamon, but deaf and blind to much of what is around them. In their ignorance, they continuously alter any matter that they can distort, and surround themselves with such sounds as they can create." Ergamon watched in awe and listened for any meaning that could be there. He heard new sounds that rumbled and clattered and roared with strange unnatural echoing pulses. He saw those men moving with strange intentions and wondered if they might also be seeking and finding knowledge, but he knew not of what. "Let us rest here close by, but keep unseen. I sense here there may be a new beginning and more of what I seek. We shall use caution, as is the natural way of creatures that have learned that dangers are rarely seen at first glance. We shall build a shelter close by and observe those things that may bring us knowledge and the happiness within it." And so they lived, and Ergamon watched until, after only a short time, he said, "These men appear to do easy things in a difficult way. I think if I can speak with them and learn more of their desires, I can show them better ways. If that is your wish, Ergamon, then I will make clothes that have strength and dull colours, so that we can go and live amongst them." And so it was that Ergamon drew enjoyment from the tastes and sounds and creature comforts of mankind. By copying their ways, he easily joined the world of work and immersed himself in its folly and achievements. Erato stayed near and ready to be his guide, but Ergamon sought little from her other than companionship and caring for a man-made, graceless house. She accepted that true learning can be found through mistakes as well as guidance. The madness of the world of man may show Ergamon so many miseries that he would quickly find a more meaningful path. Rising status in the world of man. Each day, as the sun rose, Ergamon rushed to his place of work, where his fellow men toiled to reshape the materials of nature to make more things in the service of man. And as Ergamon worked, he purchased many things for their home. Erato also worked in her own way to add to its beauty. She made pictures for the walls and cast figures of nymphs and creatures of the forest made in copper to stand proudly in the garden. But they were not alive. Erato also explored the ways of mortal mixing and observed what happiness they found and lost by being together and sharing offspring in families. Each evening, long after the sun had set, Ergamon would return to Erato, for that was her real name, and tell her of his work. "Sigil, I have discovered new ways to do things, and they are pleased. I have solved problems that trouble them, and they have rewarded me. I have become important to them, and am much regarded. They have given me a large house where we can live. It is close to work and has a good view of the distant mountains with their forests. And Sigil, I have bought you a gift." Exchange of first gift of diamond and hope. Erato opened the offered stone-sized box, and inside was a smaller, clear and colourless stone with a transparent gaze and clasped tightly in a tiny golden claw. "What is this gift you have given me? Why do you give me this wounded stone with so many cut sides, Ergamon? Does it have meaning beyond which I cannot see?" "It is a special stone, Jill. It is the hardest of all the elements, and can scratch and scour even the strongest glass and steel." Erato smiled, and with good grace set the stone aside, as one should with all unwanted gifts. "I also have a gift for you, Ergamon. I have a man-child within me, and we shall call him Hope." And Ergamon had no words. His understanding was as lost as Jill's was for the value of his gift. "Is this child something you want, Jill? For I want nothing more than that you are happy." Erato sighed without answer, and taking the stone on the ring, she withdrew to a room where the setting sun could best be viewed. And later, the child Hope was born, and Ergamon felt a love and caring he had never known. Yet the actions of men called him more and more, for they had seen his passion to both know and to tell of knowledge. Living with hope and working in the world of work. One day, Ergamon was called to the tallest tower of the largest city, and the leaders of all those men greeted him like a friend. "Ergamon, you have been chosen to be our messenger to many of the lands beyond this realm. Tell them of the wonders of our machines, of how the discoveries of new ways of making and growing can be shared with another." And Ergamon became entranced with the learning and the telling of new facts and the power it gave him over men with such simplicity. Yet the flying, travelling, and the seeing of new things across all of the globe still did not satisfy his restless spirit and soul. Seeing the wider world together. One day, after one journey and before another, he said to Erato, "Jill, I go soon to a distant land few have seen. Their ways are different and their history long. They are known for the things of beauty that they create, and it would please me to share these wonders with you." And the child Hope was of an age when he could be entrusted with others, so Erato joined Ergamon on his mission to tell and teach. And it was a good time together. Whilst Ergamon spoke to men, Erato immersed herself into a new and different way of being. She saw beauty through the eyes of people who lived amongst high mountains and flowers and trees she had never seen. Her love for Ergamon grew, and they lay together in peace. Thereafter, each time he went to a new land, he persuaded Erato to come with him, for he had learned that skill and many others over peoples. Erato prefers her home to travel. Then one day, Ergamon came to Erato and said, "Come with me to a land where men dig bright copper from the ground. I have to help them dig more copper, yet without the loss of life and less destruction of nature that comes from such enterprise." And Erato said, "I have now seen many lands, those that are both hot and cold, wet and dry, and old and new. What men dig from Mother Earth, and why they do not leave it in its place, is for you to consider. They dig and drill to exhume energy buried for 1,000,000 years, when all they need shines and flows with every new day and night. How do they not see the energy that rises and falls on their shores, or flows through gentle springs of life descending from the mountain tops? Why does man not spend their energy on activities for their own well-being, rather than arming themselves for a war that each fear? Do they not see their own fragility? The cruel efforts they use to destroy each other could instead be used to assist each other, for all mortal men that share the world of nature must realize they cause imbalance at their own peril. Men look up to you, Ergamon, as important. The more important you become, the less you see, and the more you forget. I will rest here." So Ergamon departed. But during his travels he thought often of the values of Jill and her lack of understanding of those things important to men. The second gifts of gold, and the second child named Peace. On his return he was much tired after his body and the globe had circled in different directions. Even so, his delight to be home enriched his energy, and he had a new gift. "Have you found what you seek?" asked Erato. "I have waited for you." But Ergamon was eager only to talk of his travels. "See, Jill, I have brought you a gift of gold from my travels, and it is a chain for your beautiful neck. It has been crafted into multiple links, which symbolize our love." "Is our love a chain, then, that I must wear it, as with the heavy stone on my hand?" But Ergamon knew that the weight was the value. "You should know, Jill, that of all the elements known to man, that of gold is the most highly prized." Erato sighed silently within, yet responded with a bright voice. "As you seek to please me, I wish to please you. I am again with man-child, and we shall call him Peace." Ergamon held her close, for his son Hope had brought him much pleasure. "I will help you, Jill, and find others to assist you in the caring of our children, whilst I travel." Erato listened in sadness and silence, and as with his other gifts, she graciously withdrew to a quiet place in a corner of the house. Erato giving guidance for Ergamon to use on his travels. Each time when Ergamon departed to expend his life force on the world of work and man, Erato tried to enrich his understanding. Can you help them understand the nature of balance? Tell them they pollute the water their children will one day have to drink. Mankind has been given the gift to understand beyond every moment. There is a past to know and a future to imagine and discover. Yet they choose ignorance and ignorance of promise of each new day. Instead, they sacrifice their present and carry forward old hatreds and the destructive dreams of past people, long dead. They know in their hearts that their bodily time is advancing and inevitable. Change surrounds them, yet instead of being and seeking harmony and love, they compete. They seem personally driven to own and consume more and more of land and inert things. The parts of earthly matter which aid life are consumed, and for each generation there becomes less and less for them to share or fight over. Even the forests that make the air that man breathes and holds the secrets of cures for every ailment of the body, they choose to cut or burn. And Ergamon said, I have been guided to learn the wisdom of all you say. Yet it seems the destiny of man is that wisdom must die before the seeds of a different message can grow and gain strength. Can a new generation ever really see what is around them so they regain the gifts of vision to see not just the present but a future beyond their own lifetime? Their needs and illusions dominate their present. They do not want to hear and cannot be taught that by hoarding imaginary wealth they pass forward to children a bigger burden and their children's children. I will try again to tell them of such things, but they will guard their ignorance. Erato listened in sadness and silence, and as was her way, graciously withdrew to a quiet place in a corner of the house, where there was more light. The third child, kindness. But Erato knew that her time was destined, and thought again of how to help Ergamon with guidance towards a happier future. One morning she came to Ergamon saying, You have given me many things that you like. I now feel a third man-child within me, and his name will be Kindness. I hope he will please you as the thought of him pleases me. Yet Ergamon's pleasure was as one who has already eaten well, and is now offered yet another nice dish. If that is your wish, Joe, then I will provide all you need, for I am nearly rich now, and can easily give you enough food and shelter. When the third child came, he loved him as he loved the others, as he loved Jill, as he loved his beautiful house, and nearly as much as he loved his work for learning and telling, which for him was more demanding and important than personal indulgence. Erato must follow her destiny. And as time passed, the joyful spirit of Erato faded with his ignorance of her giving and Erato's value of material things. One night, as they lay in an even bigger bed, encrusted with gold, and in an even bigger house, Erato looked away from Ergamon and said, I must leave you tomorrow. There is one who needs me more. I have led and I have followed you. I have seen your progress and what you bring to those innocent and understanding places. Even the simplest and happiest of people have been spellbound by your offerings and seduced to destroy that which is of my being. Our children are gifts you have never understood, just as all the other beauties and ways of seeing that I have tried to guide you towards. But you are my promised guide, and your place is by my side. Where you seek to go consumes my essence, and it is you who have already left me. I am already saddened beyond measure. I exist to bring comfort, pleasure, and beauty to those in need. You cannot own me, Ergamon, nor can you hold me down with stones and chains. I must be where I am needed and understood. And they spoke no more. Even the gentle hush of Jill's sleeping breaths seemed distant already. A dark wave of the blackest tiredness swept over Ergamon, and not a word or a thought came to him, as if all that had come before was ended. As the seaside castles he had so laughingly built in play with his children, and the channels they had dug in the sand, all then had been levelled by the rising tides, and filled so each new sunlit day was an adventure swept clean for their pleasure. Now each new dawn may bring only sadness at his aloneness and loss. Before the next dawn the guide from nature, which was the creature called woman, was gone. Ergamon's sleeping mind felt an anguish more than any other he had ever known. He listened, and sometimes faintly heard far distant singing, even sweeter than before, but the fleeting sounds were themselves mysterious. Deep or shallow, such things are beyond measure. Advice after Erato's first leaving. As the first dawn light started to brush the shadows of night away, and the children lay close by with the deep and restful sleep of innocence, Ergamon explored within his mind for the nearest place where he could think anew. He arose, and on a nearby, quiet, dew-covered hillside where the sky was clear and most of the imprint of man's progress was hidden, he wiped his tears and opened his being for true understanding. Is this the only end, then, that I am condemned to live henceforth locked in the misery of loss and regret? As he waited for a new understanding, thoughts slowly grew in his mind and got louder and stronger. You were told that the path of love is not easy. That which you seek to hold, you must give in equal measure. That which you do hold, you cannot own, but simply cherish for such time as it is within you. The tighter you seek to hold love, the faster it slips through your fingers. The harder you chase and grasp out, the faster love flees, because love is vulnerable and shy and comes only to those it trusts. Where there is pain, consolation and comfort are there also, but cannot be possessed. Love knows not the boundaries of time. It can be instant in the flash of an eye. It can be eternal and live on, even in the hidden sounds of music and memory. You were warned before. When you choose the path of love, you must be your own guide. Until you know anguish, you cannot truly receive and own that which has been freely given. But I despair of travelling alone. I have known the pleasure of togetherness. Is such a joy to be found again, and shall I seek it in the same places? You still have much to learn, Ergamon. There are no same places anymore. They and all that was there are as changed as today is changed from yesterday, and tomorrow will offer newer ways of being. This is part of the gift of life. And as Ergamon sat thinking of the loss of so many yesterdays, his children, hope, peace and kindness, came to him and asked, "Father, where is Joy?" For so they named their mother. "We have searched, and the house is empty." And as the rising sun shines light into the darkest shadows, Ergamon saw that Jill had named them as to light torches for the darkness of his spirit. He saw that the light they carried may yet show a new way to follow. And Ergamon understood that there was nothing he could presently do that would change that which destiny and time were already changing. "Let us give her the time she needs. Come, I will help you in my own way, and things will be as Providence ordains. We are a family, and we will all help each other." And though everything from his old self writhed in anguish and sought to blind his sight with tears, Ergamon found a strength he did not know he had. He said to his children, "Let us eat and enjoy this day, for my time is yours, both now and forever." The return of Erato and seeking better understanding. On the third day, a messenger came to him saying, "There is one who asks for your help. She is close by and awaits you where you have often walked hand in hand." And Ergamon felt overwhelmed by the power of his hope and the possibility that a new moment can bring. He remembered not just the nature of love, but the balance of choice and opportunity that the gift of life had given him. In his mind, he saw two paths, one of brightness and one of shadow. Small creatures of nature descended to settle on the brighter path and open their wings as if to the sun. On the dark path were stones and weeds. A host of hungry, urgent, angry human voices there beckoned him towards hatred and darkness. "Come, this is the common way. You have been betrayed, and by the laws and expectations of man, you must fight for what is yours and cast aside that which is different." In an instant, Ergamon chose his own path. He left the empty house and walked with fear that she would not see him as he now wished to be believed. For how can a new man, changed only in his mind, yet be seen and judged as he has always appeared to be? He found Erato standing by a bridge in a fine spun, colourful dress he had once chosen for her when in a hot and foreign land. Her eyes were red with tears, yet still sparkled with the light that first had captured him within a heartbeat, surging faster than thought itself. Ergamon spoke from his heart with a gentleness and inner strength that he was only in that moment discovering within himself. "I have learned what not to seek, and now understand better what has real value. I know there is more beyond just physical things, which are all structured and restructured from stardust and catastrophe." With a whisper so faint, Ergamon had to come closer to her. She said, "Now I am alone again in this world of man, and none has need of me. The man who begged me for help has gone. He sees beauty as I do, yet he is only of man and has a soul of unformable stone. Only drink eases him, and that is a false friend. Those who loved him as he already is have taken him. He was as blind to their love as you have been to mine. I am doubly sad, and seek only to rest with my children for one day." With a trembling voice, Ergamon said, "Our house is your home for as long as you wish to stay. My love is as ever, yet it has changed. I am not as you left me. I am as if reborn into a world of wonder in which the ways of man have little or no significance. In their company I can only find some friendship, but nothing more beyond that which I know and feel already. And Arato said, I am too tired now to hear and talk of such things. There are many paths for men to take beyond the physical. Given your own preferred path through life is to restlessly hunt and seek after knowledge, the path of which I know will be missed by you in your different kinds of haste. You do not know me, Jill, as I stand before you here and now. I neither haste nor linger, for I have discovered that time is my friend. And when the time is right, I will know. Or better still, if you are with me, then I will listen. For now, I begin to understand the meaning of your guidance. But he could see her doubts and the troubles within her. Newly sensitive to the nature of things, he saw her only need was to be with her own gifts of hope, peace, and kindness. So they walked away from the waterway, up the small hill, to where the grand house stood overlooking the valley. And even though the distant landscape around it had been cut and scarred for the convenience of other men, yet much of beauty remained. And as they entered in, joy came back to the home. The passage of time and Arato weakening in her human body. Of Ergamon's new life I shall not tell, for it is only empty time that drags, and 20, 30, or 40 years of happiness can pass without note. Suffice to know that Ergamon awoke each day with Jill by his side. Together they experienced not only visual beauty, but music, scent, and taste, and new contentment in all its manifestations in their home and in the natural world. Then one day, as they sat together, watching the sunset across another valley and in a grandly shaped garden filled with the beauty of the creations of Erato and such things as Ergamon had himself aspired to make, Erato moved closer to him and spoke softly. Time is your friend now, my darling, and yet you must know that there is a hard time for you coming. My mortal flesh is weakening, and the shell that holds my spirit in our togetherness is slipping away. That which I asked this body to do, it struggles with. Then let me support you with what you lack. I can be your body as well as my own. Let my arms and legs be your strength. I will feed your body as you have fed my mind. As you have been my guide, so I will carry you wheresoever you wish. Caring and coping. And Erato let it be so, until, as the moon circled the earth, and the earth circled the sun, she saw that even Ergamon himself grew weaker, and was fading into a place with no mortal returning. On a day of her choosing, she put on a dress of the lightest fabric and the brightest colours, and in their garden there was a place fashioned by nature and to Erato's pleasing. She said, "Let us go to our special glade." There they lay together on the warm grass until that evening the sun sank slowly into the silver-laced sea and the sky showed all its hidden colours. Erato whispered, "The time has come, and I can linger no longer. My sister Eurydice calls for my help. And Ergamon was distraught, for as those years that are happy can pass without counting, yet daring to think of an ending may bring it closer. You are a good man, Ergamon, and I leave you our 3 sons to comfort you, and such of my beauty that has survived the passing of the waves and the seasons. Then she stood and stepped lightly, with seemingly new strength, towards the whispering trees, and so said, her being in that time faded, and a white matter of mist enveloped her, so there was gradually no substance that Ergamon could embrace. As he wept, a sighing breeze caressed the glade, and the mist drifted to mingle with the glittering leaves until there was only the golden light of the setting sun. And the rustling leaves seemed themselves to say, "Remember me, Ergamon, remember me as you first saw me, and be happy. For my fate with you was a passing moment, and the beauty of the world is always around you, and it is my spirit. Never fear tears, Ergamon, they are the silent dewdrops of breaking chains. As your vision clears and your sobbing eases, you will begin to see what awaits you beyond and in the new day and every day thereafter." After Erato has gone back to her sisters, and Ergamon felt truly alone. Hope, peace, and kindness sought to comfort him, yet they knew of his solitary ways and waited nearby for him to fall asleep. As the next day slowly dawned, Ergamon remembered his emptiness and rebirth from a longing time before. He remembered he had discovered time to be his friend, so waited now with the hope that the stream of life would sweep him towards his own inner peace, and Erato would one day, perhaps, be his guide again. A new resolve and way of seeing. As time passed, Ergamon felt an urge to himself create something that was in harmony and extol the delights he had been guided towards and that hid so subtly in the world of man. He felt a desire to tell and show how with greater understanding others might see the hard lines and cruel cuts and brutality of discord. Those things man rushed and strove to make were but shallow scratches and empty screams which were being swept away by mortal adversity and fading even as their makers reached hopelessly for fame and fortune. A new way of being and telling. And Ergamon formed a new resolve. He knew the ways of man. He understood their mistakes and short-sightedness, but mostly their mindless compulsions, rooted in their search for purpose and an inner fear of oblivion. Ergamon knew all men's tricks in the power of persuasion. He knew the forcefulness of greed, of organizations fearful of those tender shoots of creativity that sought a better balance between man's physical creativity and harmony. And Ergamon saw there could be a better way, which had been known in the early days of man, and yet lost as the discoveries of men had twisted them to become obsessed by their own power over material things. He thought deeply of the first time when he had heard but not grasped the wisdom of the words that Erato had spoken, even as they travelled together to each new place of man. These men who dig and burn are digging the graves of man's own children, They are burning the air of your futures, so all will choke on the fumes. The power of nature are beyond the measure of man. It will rise up the seas and torment the air, such that nothing built by man will withstand its fury. It may be he could find a simpler way of telling. In memory, he could still hear her clear and guiding voice of possibility. But the powers of nature also want to make peace with mankind. On every place on the surface of the earth, nature awaits with boundless energy, fashioned to the positioning of harmony. The sun burns itself so men may have light and warmth wherever they are. The moon dances in an embrace with the seas, so together their rising and falling offers power beyond anything that can be burned. Even man's shattering of stardust, so toxic to all nature, cannot match a single tide of the sea. The earth throbs below their feet, so even the deepest, darkest cave offers some warmth or cooling shelter. And where the sea does not reach, the winds bring sweet rain to the highest places, so their waters can in turn bring water and energy to the lands below. There is no place on earth where the infinite powers of nature cannot be used to destroy or to cherish life. Ergamon had observed in all his travels that the fullness of Erato's truth was feared by man. Such guidance lacked the power of urgent necessity for change, and man's ingenuity will be used to evade alteration of beliefs, even if they lead to disaster. Ergamon now realized most realities of nature needed better expression or would ever fall on dark ears, until forceful circumstance and mortal death revealed the truths. Once more, he sought out a quiet place near his home, away from many influences of man. In a voice which projected more conviction and yet held little confidence, he spoke aloud, hoping that the guiding spirits of nature would help him find a new way to tell of the balance between mind, body, and spirit. I wish to share with others all the guidance given me on my long journey. I feel I am nearly content. My body gives me no pain, but is kept alive by the cleverness and expense of others. My spirit feels a joy in everything I see and hear. I do not seek to understand why, but more to allow myself to be absorbed into the nature of all things. As for my mind, it is hard to let go of the desire to learn new things and to tell. There is so much that men have found out but still do not see. They compete and fight instead of joining together. They are led into war by bitter and disturbed men, when secretly most yearn for peace, but fear of the penalty if they dare to question the authority. These are all things you must become reconciled with, Ergamon, for in the world of man, individual creativity is vulnerable. The past can easily be used to overwrite the present. Long dead stories from history are often used to pollute younger minds, and by so doing, capture their hopes and undermine their better future. We will always be waiting for you, and you will be welcome. But rest assured, your worldly planet and all the planets are within the embrace of nature. Mankind has existed many times on planet Earth as it travels on its own journey through the stars. Have no fear that the spirit of the earth can be harmed. because it is eternal. Think of the physical elements and things you valued, such as diamond and gold. They are born of catastrophe beyond the imagination of most men. Yet you gave them to Erato as tokens of love and were confused by her sadness. Truths can be known, and most have been told by others many times before and throughout man's history. There have been seasons when good times have been known and written about, but there are forces in each new generation when a few, seeing their own opportunity, conceal and distort nature until the lies they tell become perennial and corrupt the harvest of that generation. Wisdom is a burden you must carry alone, Ergamon, if you so wish, but nature will take its course. To find your own peace of mind, instead of endless searching, choose the right place and the right way to wait, telling only those who ask. Enjoy the adventure of each day as time passes, Ergamon. See how all is refreshed by nature, and each generation of man and their offspring travel on their own adventure, starting with wide-eyed pleasure from birth to such ending as is their destiny. If you are not yet ready to come to us, then live on until you so desire. Decide for yourself, Ergamon, and always use your gift of life with peace and love. As Ergamon waited and watched, the creatures of nature saw his stillness both within and without, and they trusted him. Every day with the rising of the dawn, Ergamon spoke silently to the rustling breezes as they brushed his sun-warmed skin and such spirits as may be around him. Tell my beloved chosen guide, I wait patiently and have one last question. And as each day and year passed, Ergamon attended to his body that it would still have enough mortal life and be well enough to wait. He attended equally to his thoughts and feelings as he sought the perfect place where Erato might come or be found. Then one day, an arrow-shaped bird settled on his shoulder and whispered so only he could hear. My kind travels the earth from sun to sun, and we follow the guides as they themselves search for those whose desire is for new beginnings. We and the wind have heard that there is a peace to be found in a far distant land. It is a place where, just as you yourself came from earth, Ergamon, the secretive turtles rise from the deepest seas. They entrust that place between land and sea to nurture the life of their own kind. Are you well enough to find and embark on such a journey? For there you may again find Erato. And with new purpose, Ergamon let his heart be his guide as he travelled the world and searched until at last he was sure he had found both a place and a season of fruitfulness. There, each day, he sat patiently and alone on a solitary rock woven through with glistening veins of colour. He watched the slow arc of the sun and the shifting shadows as they showed him where to see and hear the many different wonders of nature around him. The invitation to transcend and hesitation. Time drifted peacefully on until one day, as the breezes danced and meandered listlessly through the trees and the streams trickled joyfully over the sparkling stones resting in their beds, he heard a girl's soft voice, as if mingling with the water. She approached down a path he had not noticed before. She came close and sat next to him. Her voice was as heard in a dream. Warmest greetings. Are you a chosen one that you wait in this place so patiently? What shall I call you? And what is your deepest desire? I am Ergamon, and you and I may have been before. My wish is that once more we can be together in a way where I now have better understanding. And she reached out and held his hand with a touch as gentle as a kissing murmur. Do you hear the stream close by, Ergamon? And what is in it? It is a stream of life, and its rippling is the sweetest music. The birds around speak to me of their lives. They tell me of their hopes and their fears, of their loves and wisdom from a million years of learning, from before man ever walked on the earth. Then you have been taught well, even though you did not realize the nature of true being and the harmony of mind, body, and spirit. Your time again in a world beyond that of man can begin now, if you are ready. And the warmth of her hand was in the sun-baked stone's waves. The perfume of her breath was carried in the air that rustled the leaves and swayed the scented grass around him. I see you have an opened heart and needs that mortal life cannot fulfill. Would you like to come with me now to a new way of being, for I can guide you? The sense of her was around him and within him, so that Ergamon's restless soul was drawn to be content. Just ahead, he could see a bright light drifting up a gentle slope into the dancing and embracing trees. Then, as he slowly stood to follow her, he heard a loud and brightly glad greeting of a watching bird calling from close to him. Ergamon, I have often followed you on your travels to distant and warmer places. You have been kind to the creatures of nature wherever you have been. I watched as you learned much and received the precious gifts of hope, peace, and kindness. They and my kind are destined to stay in this world where man is still wild and confused. Can you not stay and be a companion with us for a little longer? And Ergamon felt doubt as he realized that what the girl's shimmering vision was offering may not be the end he sought, nor the sure rejoining with Arato, but a different place with an uncertain beginning. He spoke to her departing and slowly disappearing figure with a voice he sometimes used when persuading men, only far more gently. I yearn to follow you, but still feel incomplete in this present existence. Will you ask me again if I stay a little longer? I have wasted so much of the mortal time given to me and feel only now the true value of each day and the hours and moments within it. I feel my mind is getting younger rather than older. I am pleased for you, Ergamon, for now she knew his name. It is not your mind, but your spirit that is glowing within you, and that is loved. We can come again soon, when you decide your mind and body are also truly ready. But be aware, Ergamon, your mortal time on earth is inevitably pulling you towards a different destiny. And with that, she turned and walked gracefully up a hidden path into a light that was neither dark, nor dawn, nor dusk, but too bright to glimpse for even the shortest time. Ergamon stood unsteadily to his feet and walked slowly, yet with new purpose, along the path that led back towards the late evening world of man. He knew his time was short, but there was still much he had been told and at least learned. Fate and destiny. His spirit guided him, and he saw that before and even after birth, he was but a small part of nature's plan. It had been the good fortune of his life to receive loving guidance and through his own driving efforts to discover and to tell that which was new for his own brief century and the short chain of men alive therein. Maybe now he could pass the baton of wisdom to the next generation and create a new way of telling about the gift of life, so some mortals would discover enough hope, peace and kindness to hear and find their own ways to build a better future for humanity and all mankind. Such was his destiny for the short time that remained to him and the gift of life.